Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Kris Mercuri, and I serve as Director of Admissions for Recruiting and Outreach here at the Yale School of Management. Thank you for joining our service to SOM online event. On the agenda today is a brief program overview. We'll talk about the curricular differences between the Yale SOM program and some other top programs. And then the feature event is the puppy you see here, Bailey, but also these two gentlemen who are current students and have served in the U.S. military. So we have a nice panel discussion following that. We will end our recording and we will have a live Q&A with the folks who are currently in the Zoom room, just to give you a more private setting to get your questions answered as best we can. Okay. So with that, we'll kick things off with a program overview. Okay, so in talking about what makes the Yale School of Management distinctive, it's important to start with our founding mission, which is to educate leaders for business and society. And this mission really does inform everything that we do at the school, from our approach to teaching and learning to how we advance your leadership skills and capacity. And it also certainly helps to shape our community. The mission means that our aim is really to develop leaders who have the ability to think broadly about the challenges we face in an increasingly complex world, and where we need our students to be decision makers in environments where you have to consider multiple stakeholders, influencers, and the consequences of our decisions. So our MBA candidates at Yale not only have a desire to be successful in their careers, but to also make a positive impact on society. And we believe our mission has never been more relevant. So there are three things about the curriculum at Yale that I would like to highlight, each very much in support of the mission to educate leaders for business and society. The first is that we are the business school that aims to be and is most integrated with its home institution. The second is that we believe we're distinctively global in our offerings at Yale. And the third is that we aim to be the best source of elevated leadership for all sectors and regions. And so let me tell you briefly about each of those, how we deliver and how our students benefit. So first, when you come to the Yale School of Management, you come to Yale University. And we believe this connection to our home institution is something that our students should leverage. So our MBA program strategically creates numerous opportunities to engage across campus, giving you access to the sharpest minds in academia and the resources of a world-renowned institution. The most prominent example of this is the second year of our MBA curriculum. The second year is all electives, and you can take those electives anywhere at Yale University. You don't need to sign up for a track or make a proposal. You just register for the classes that you're interested in, and that could be a personal interest, maybe a language course, maybe a history course, or it could be something or something that dovetails nicely with your career aspirations, right? But this really gives you the opportunity to craft and customize your curriculum. And also, importantly, expand your network. Okay. Other examples of access across campus include prominent speakers that come to Yale, events. We have government leaders, Nobel Prize winners, etc. We have the SCI Center for Innovative Thinking, a hub for entrepreneurship at Yale University, etc. So we see value in giving you access to our entire community and the ability, again, to craft and customize your experience. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk briefly about is the global aspect. So most all business schools aim to teach global business, right, as they should. And some have even developed a partnership with schools or a school overseas. But at Yale, we've really expanded our global opportunities due not only to what transpires in the classroom, but how our students can engage with the world. And a key driver of our global offerings, our expansive global offerings, is the Global Network for Advanced Management. This is a network of now 32 business schools across 6 different continents who've agreed to diffuse reciprocity. So this gives our students access to top MBA schools, business schools around the world and their comparative advantage. So what does this look like in practice? We actually were the first MBA program to require global study, and now we are the MBA program with the most offerings and diversity of global offerings. So on this slide, you'll see the 5 different types of global courses that our students can take at Yale, each of which has multiple offerings. So the short story here is that our students have somewhere between 50 to 60 different global courses to choose from every year. And most of our students in the MBA program are going to go abroad at least twice. Okay, so during our most recent offering, which was October, now 2 months ago, hard to believe it's December, we had a global network week where there were 25 different courses to choose from. And if you look at number 2 here, Global Network Week, as one of the 5 options, there are 25 different courses to choose from in the month of October to take a 1-week course at that school's campus, taught by their faculty with a global cohort. Okay, just to give you a sense and a signal to the breadth and the depth of our global offerings. Okay, so we really believe that studying abroad and having global experience, boots on the ground experience is important to your learning. And it helps us to really appreciate the differences and to place experiences and learning in the context of global challenges. Okay, so the third thing I'll talk about in regards to our curriculum is really at the heart of your leadership training. It's an innovative and rigorous core curriculum. It's really unlike any other MBA program out there. We have an integrated core curriculum that's really designed to enable you to be a leader who sees issues and things through multiple lenses. Whereas most business schools teach their business disciplines in silos, finance class, marketing class, right? One discipline at a time with one faculty member from that discipline, right? But our core curriculum at the Yale School of Management looks like this. We have these 10 core courses called the Organizational Perspectives courses. You'll see their titles are based on stakeholder perspectives, okay? We do have an orientation to management that precedes this core curriculum in the first quarter of your first year, and then these courses serve as your core curriculum. So most of these classes are team taught and often by faculty with different areas of expertise. So again, you're getting, as you see here, you're getting an education that really integrates multiple business disciplines and the integration of even faculty who have different areas of expertise. So you might even talk about a case in one class from the perspective of the investor, and then look at that same class from the perspective of the customer, right? So this integration, we think, is a much more dynamic learning environment, and we feel it's reflective of the real life skills you'll need to execute in your careers. Okay, so hopefully with this program overview, you're getting a sense for how at Yale, we really value connection and integration. Connection across our campus, across the world, and across business disciplines. And this is done with a clear objective to create conditions in which you can learn to practice leadership competencies that will prepare you for a really dynamic and complex business world in the coming decades. Okay, so at this time, what I'd like to do is take a breath and introduce or allow our panelists to introduce themselves. Erik and Kevin and Bailey, if Bailey's willing, if you could tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, what you were doing prior to coming to the Yale School of Management, and what your career aspirations are. So we'll start with you, Erik.
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. Name's Erik. I'm from Connecticut originally, so kind of back in my home turf. I was logistics officer in the Army for 10 years. I did, I did some time down at Bragg and Fort Polk where I did my command. And then I ended my career doing ROTC at the University of Massachusetts for a couple of years, which was a pretty nice transition into business school. Currently, I'm recruiting for consulting. It has been fun. It's very intense. I can answer questions on that. I know Kevin can as well. And I'm married with a 2-year-old son, and I commute here because I was in the area and I had a house before I got to SOM. So if you have any concerns on any of that stuff or questions about it, definitely able to help. I'm also a proud 2-time applicant, so not always the smoothest route to get here. So if you have concerns about your candidacy or this is round 2 for you, fear not, it can be done, and I can answer questions about that as well.
And then I'll go. So my name's Kevin. I was an enlisted guy. I was a sergeant in the 75th Ranger Regiment, deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, left active duty, and then went over to the Guard. I was at 217th EOD out of California there. That's when I applied to the MBA program. I recently graduated undergrad back in December and started the MBA program immediately afterwards. So if there's any enlisted guys that are following a similar pipeline, let me know. I also did pre-MBA recruiting, so I got an early offer from McKinsey and will be headed out to McKinsey in Austin. Hometown is Los Angeles, California, though, but just wanted to change the scenery for a little bit. And then Bailey just woke up and she's playing, so she'll join us in and out. She's a little 14-week golden retriever. And yeah, I live here in East Rock, so happy to help.
Great. Thank you both for being here. I think this panel discussion will really shed some light on the lived experience and the experience of military candidates in the MBA program. And already we're hearing a little bit about partners and pets and different living arrangements, and all of that plays a role. All of that plays a role. So again, thanks for being here. Let's kick off the discussion with maybe the most obvious question, or the question that some of our candidates might be asking themselves is like, why this MBA? You know, what attracted you to this program? I shouldn't even say the Yale program, but just the degree itself. What research did you do? What factors played a role in you deciding to pursue an MBA?
Yeah, sure. I'll kick this off.
Right.
There were 2 main factors for me. One, I did a lot of research of like what are military candidates successful at, and they're successful at the MBA, and they're successful at like leading businesses because they know how to work with diverse teams in adverse environments, and they can work with very limited resources, very limited information, and make the tough choices. And I know that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create an impactful future wherever it is that I go. I decided to pursue consulting for the reason of like it's going to expose me to a lot of different industries in a very short time frame, and then from there I could discover whatever it is I want to do. In the long term. Why the MBA? The MBA is the pivotal point in getting towards consulting and then getting towards, like a C-suite position at any company that I would want to go to. So it just became the logical choice for me. Why I specifically chose Yale SOM was the reason of being both business and society and creating leaders for business and society. Coming from, a little bit of my background, my parents were illegal immigrants. My dad actually ended up getting deported. I dropped out of high school. And there were a lot of things that society created that could have prevented me from moving forward in life. And luckily, Yale SOM took a chance on me. But hopefully in the future, I will figure out ways to remove those barriers of entry from people that come from challenged backgrounds, and hopefully be that change that we want to see in the world. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. And Erik?
Yeah, so kind of similar, not similar background because Kevin's amazing, but I was a sit reps to steer coast baby for any of you who follow that Instagram page, but I'll be like blunt. It was really like, hey, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I know an MBA is going to be able to help make more money on the backside. That was kind of like the genesis. I think the actual reason, as I kind of did some more research, is realistically like we have a lot of soft skills coming from the military, all things that Kevin talked about. And unless you have additional experience a lot of us aren't going to have that, business acumen or some of the hard skill set that is valuable, right? Like, we don't want to underestimate our leadership skills, but we also don't want to overestimate it and just assume that we're going to walk into jobs and get exactly what we want. And an MBA program is a perfect way to give you that complementary skill set to help you leverage the soft skills that you do have going into the private sector. Similar to Kevin, on Yale, it was really a fit, right? Like, part of the reason why I was in the military is to be be a part of something greater than myself, right? Do that service to the country, and Yale helped me keep feeling that, right? Like, there is a deeper mission here, and they really do believe in it. I'd say, as you're like researching schools, if you're looking at like a top institution like Yale, like, they don't really have to sell themselves. So listen when they tell you what they focus on and what they care about, because they're telling you the truth. And Yale really lives the business and society piece. It's integrated in all the curriculum, and I think it's super important to give you that different perspective that you may not get a lot of other places.
Great. Thank you both. Thanks for the personal side of your story, and again, being here and willing to answer some tougher questions too, that I'm sure will come. So let's pick up on the curriculum, right? And I won't ask too many more questions about the curriculum unless the audience would like to dig in there. But I provided the program overview. You've mentioned the curriculum in the mission. Can you give us some specific examples about aspects of the curriculum that you've found particularly impactful in your development thus far, or things that you know about from your peers that are on the horizon that you're looking forward to? We'll start with you, Erik.
Yeah. So for me, so as Kris kind of mentioned, like, first semester is really like your intro to business type stuff. If you were like an econ undergrad or a business management undergrad, some of it's going to seem familiar. Second semester, when you get into the core curriculum, is really where it really is immediate application of all of the things that you just kind of went over, whether it's looking at markets from econ, or analyzing financial statements and form 10Ks that you did in accounting, right? We're literally doing a project on that right now in Competitor. For me, one of the most impactful ones is our customer class. So it's really focused on a lot of marketing skills. And I volunteer as a coach with a youth baseball program that's been struggling to grow over the past couple of years, and like looking at customer segmentation and how to figure out what customers are actually looking at and how to create value, all things that we're doing in class and applying to cases. I'm literally bringing over to this program, and I'm like seeing instant results. Like, our strategies are actually attracting new people, and it's like very real and visceral for me. So it was amazing to be able to apply what we were learning pretty much immediately into not quite a business scenario, but something similar, and see some tangible results.
That's
I
great.
think,
Thanks, Erik. Kevin?
yeah. I think for me, a lot of it has to do with kind of the value proposition of like, how do you create leaders of business and society, right? In order to create leaders in business, you need to learn from people that have been in business, that create businesses and sell businesses, or hold C-suite positions, right? So yesterday we had a course or guest lecture with Barry, which everybody has to take a class with Barry. Created Honesty, sold it to Pepsi, and has worked with Whole Foods, worked with a bunch of different companies. I don't want to like ruin it, because like it's a great class. So if you take it, I want you to get the full experience. But that's just one example of, we have key leaders that are in the industry, and that's how we create future leaders. Now, how do we create leaders of society? We also, in everything that we do, we reframe how we think everything, because it's not about how do you make the most money. It's about how do you create the most impact in the world, and what is that impact that you want to create. And then by having a diverse group of people that you're able to what we call our cohort, you're able to have those discussions. You get so many frames of references that you're able to just build on whatever it is that your experience is. So getting somebody from Chile that has this experience versus somebody that worked in oil and manufacturing has this experience, you're just able to see so many frames of reference. And I feel like that's one of the key selling points of Yale and that mission of creating leaders of business and society.
That's right. I think the diversity of points of view and lived experience is necessary. You know, if you come to a program where everyone looks, walks, and talks the same, it's a disservice to your ability to really lead in the world that we live in with the way that we want, in an impactful, effective way. So let's talk about the Veterans Club. Can you tell me a little bit about the club? What are the activities, the initiatives, the people? Tell me a little bit about the Veterans Club here at the Yale School of Management.
I'll go first since Erik went first last time. Veterans Club is one of my favorite clubs. And here's like, honestly, here's one of the reasons why. I feel like because, you know, a lot of us are going to be here with the GI Bill and, you know, we're not necessarily super worried about our tuition costs. Then you're able to have a little bit of extra spending money. So we're able to do kind of cooler events that are sometimes outside of the Yale SOM spectrum. So we're able to set up stuff where we actually like our unofficial class gift was a Maury's Cup, which Maury's is one of the restaurants here at Yale that it's exclusive to Yale. And there's this cup that commemorates whatever it is that you want to commemorate. So we had that engraved, put our names on it. It was our unofficial class gift because probably Yale wouldn't approve it. And then we celebrated with a tailgate party before one of the games here locally. Not the Harvard Yale game because that was offsite, but yeah, and it's one of the cool things of like we're kind of a unique club in the sense that like we tend to be, you know, a little bit on the older side, and we tend to have a little bit of longer lived experience. But that comes with this perks of like we are able to kind of put together our group and do fun events that are sometimes outside of of Yale. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all 100% true. For me, as someone who's like, I'm not as able to partake in as many events as I'd like to because of kind of where I live. Some of the mentorship bits have been amazing. Like, you know, at our first meeting, you know, all the second years found out who was going into what industry, what we were recruiting, and immediately kind of like took us under their wing. You know, one of our second years here is going to the, like, he got a return offer to the place that I'm trying to go, and so it was like pretty much immediately, let me see your resume, you know, these are some of the things that you should be looking at doing, and it's been fantastic. I think the last bit too is like, obviously the diversity of opinion I think is amazing, and I wanted to plug like there's I don't know what is like average for schools, but like there's a huge international population of students that I think has been amazing. Like some of my, you know, really good friends here are from other countries, and being able to talk through their different perspectives is great. But obviously we have a different experience than a lot of people coming in. Some of it's age, some of it's just the nature of what we do, and being able to have kind of like that home base of there's a group of individuals that have a shared lived experience with you that you can go back and whether it's, you know, you drop in jokes about your time in the military using acronyms that nobody else gets, and you got that one vet that's laughing. It's nice to have. So whether it's like professional or personal, like mentorship, all these awesome events, it's just a really good core group of human beings that everyone's like aligned, going towards the same mission, and they're looking out for all of us because we're all part of that same kind of group.
That's great. So it sounds like there's professional support, right? Many of you, if not all, are making serious transitions, and also personal, social aspects of the Veterans Club. So quick question, and it's one of our pre-submitted questions. Can MBA candidates who serve in the military, can they reach out to the Veterans Club for support during their either crafting their applications or you're developing their consideration set for schools they want to apply to?
Absolutely. I actually am looking at the people here, and I've already spoken to a few. So absolutely reach out. What I would say is kind of deal with it the same way you would with anybody else, right? If it's obviously answered on the website, probably not. But what you want to do is um, contact us for how to like carve your story, how to polish up your resume, how to do, but like also acknowledge that like, you know, we are also working professionals or you know, we're in school and then a lot of us are recruiting. So what I would do is make sure that they're impactful questions and be thoughtful about the questions that you ask, and we are absolutely going to respond to you.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the other bit of advice I'd give is like, I'm not sure. I'm sure some people have already like applied round one, but like if you're looking at round two or round three or whatever, the earlier the better, because it gives us a little bit of lead time and just kind of understand if we don't respond right away, we're going to get back to you for sure. But and this is like a beyond Yale thing. Like all of the schools that I applied to, the vets clubs were huge. So I think that this community is pretty solid at a lot of different schools. Obviously, we went through the application process. We kind of know at least what we did. Obviously, we're not gonna do the things for you, and like there's no secret recipe. There's no right answer. So we will more than happy to help. And I think that, you know, whether it's resume review, essay review, there will be somebody available in the club that, you know, leadership will get us in touch with you guys. But yeah, feel free to reach out. I think that was one of the biggest keys to success for me in my process.
Great, thank you both, and thanks for the accessibility. I'm glad you've been able to recognize some names on the call. The other thing that I think I'll mention from the admissions committee standpoint, it's unique to US veterans community in the review process, is that we actually reach out to the Veterans Club to help do resume reviews. So at Yale SOM, the admissions committee is a group of 13 admissions officers. There's no faculty, alumni, students involved. We're trained every year and we read the files and we make the evaluations and recommendations. The slight caveat to that is with our US military resumes, our applicants, we ask the Veterans Club to help us kind of do a consult, if you will, because the military experience is so unique. And as mentioned, there are a lot of acronyms, accolades, et cetera, expected trajectory, et cetera. And it's hard for us as a committee to understand all those nuances. So what we do is we make the resumes anonymous, we block out your names and whatnot, and we ask our Veterans Club to help us assess and understand specifically the military work experience, not anything else, not where you went to school or what your GP classes you took or activities you're involved, but specifically the work experience. And so I've found, we've been doing that for 10 years now, I've found that to be particularly helpful during our committee discussions. So, all right, next question for the two of you. How has your military background helped you navigate the career journey here thus far?
Yeah, I think we kind of hit on the leadership stuff, and I think that those are going to be skills like doing things as simple as like standing in front of a room and having conversations with people. I think like some of like our recruiting journey is, especially early on in the process, is like how to have conversations with other professionals and not be awkward about it. And like the military is a people business, so I think that we kind of excel at that. I think one of the other like biggies is stress management. Grand scheme of things, like obviously, yes, this stuff is very important and it's stressful in a different way, but at the end of the day, like no one's yelling at me for doing something that probably wasn't my fault after 30 days out in the field with no sleep, right? Like the environment is just different, and I think we're like built to handle stress because of our experiences. And I find that super useful when people are like in the middle of grinding for recruiting, because like if you haven't heard, right, if you want to recruit for consulting or investment banking, like it's going to be intense pretty early on in your process. but at no point have I ever been like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. And I've had some peers that like I've talked to that have struggled with that. And so I think that gives us an advantage, especially in the job hunting piece for, what we don't know on the business side, we make up for with, again, those people skills and our ability to kind of handle and plan and prioritize and do a lot of the stuff that we have been doing professionally in the military.
I think one thing that's helped me out is kind of like super basic day one. What you learn is, right time, right place, right uniform. So when you're going out to these interviews, you're able to set up your timeline, set up your day exactly how you need to. You're able to move out your schedule, shift classes around if you need to, in order to accommodate being able to do your coffee chats, be able to do your interviews and all that. And then the second aspect, I'll touch back on the leadership, is that a lot of your work, especially in these core classes, is teamwork, right? You're going to do a lot of work with your small learning team and with your learning team. So it's managing expectations from each individual's, working to each individual's kind of strengths and weaknesses, making sure that people are developing. So like somebody that's really great at accounting, although they can crush the accounting homework, I want to learn accounting. So like, can you help me understand it? Kind of thing. So being able to work with every single individual, their strengths, their weaknesses, and then create a final product that everybody's proud of. I feel like that all comes in from the military.
Great, thank you. And from an admissions perspective, I think a lot of candidates, many candidates tend to worry that their military experience won't be as competitive as maybe traditional civilian experience. And I can tell you again, someone who's been doing this for 15 years, 10 years at Yale, that we do make some assumptions about military experience that are very positive, right? You have very unique experience in leading teams, working with teams. We expect you probably have a heightened awareness of discipline, right? Kevin, you're just talking about, right uniform, right? So there are some things that with any industry or any type of work experience, we are looking for. And those things that we typically see in military candidates are very positive. And then I'm sure that Erik and Kevin will tell you too, that our veterans tend to be some of the first folks to land jobs. The employers are also very interested in your unique skill set and leadership capacity. So that's all good news for all of you who might be wondering, how your resume will be viewed. Okay, so I want to jump to a last question before we open up and let the audience ask their questions. And the last question is, what advice do you have for candidates who haven't yet applied, who are considering or preparing an application? Any advice you have for them at this point in their journey?
Sure, I'll jump in. I think this sounds like really simple, but I think the number one is like be like pretty honest and authentic, right? Like I think the fit, if you're here looking at Yale, then you are looking at some of the top schools in the country, because Yale is one of the top schools in the country. So like just they're going to be great schools, right? Pick the ones that you think that you're going to have the best fit with, right? Reach out, talk to the people that are at the schools, and make sure that you enjoy being around those people, because I think that they're pretty indicative of the type of students that you're going to see there. Then in your application, just like be yourself as much as you can. It's really easy to see fake stuff, and when you're not authentic, it oftentimes all sounds the same. So don't write what you think that they want to hear, right? What's important to you. Obviously, like answer the prompts and make sure you're answering the questions, but like try to do it in the most authentic way that you can, because I think that it oftentimes will make for better answers. And then the only other thing on like the resume bit, and I think that this is why I think you should reach out to vets clubs. Like there's ways to like write your resume to focus on the impact of what you did, whether you think that it was like a big deal or not. Always focus on like give the what happened, and then the result, the impact of those actions. You have a limited amount of space in your resume, so like every line should be impactful. And if it's not, adding, hey, this sort of thing happened because of my actions, then it probably doesn't need to be on there. So that's just a couple things.
Yeah, I think Erik kind of touched on it. The STAR method, the situation, task, achievement, action, result. Yeah, I mean, if you're able to quantify what you've done in your resume in each bullet, make every bullet count, that'd be great. One thing I wanted to touch on is yesterday we have this thing called Voices here. Love Voices. Essentially, it's three people that go up on stage, share their entire life experience, pour their heart out. And there was this quote that Michael said yesterday, and I want to read this quote, and it says, "The path you have traveled all this time does not need to define where you are going." And I wanted to say that because when I was first offered admission to Yale SOM, I didn't announce it anywhere because I'm like, they made a mistake. There's no way I got in. I was like, there's literally no chance. And I'm like, it's a mistake. And they're going to send me this thing saying, hey, we made an error. You're not in, right? And I had this weird imposter syndrome. But the moment I came here for welcome weekend and was able to tour campus, and I got to meet great people, a lot of the second or current second years, they were first year at the time, and was able to interact with people, I realized this is my home. This is where I belong. And this is where I need to go. I actually immediately put down my deposit as soon as I think it was like the first night here. I was like, no, this is it. I know absolutely I belong here. So that's all to say. Um, just shoot for the stars, and what'll be what is meant to be will be. Yeah.
Excellent. Great advice. Thank you both. Does Bailey have anything to add, Kevin? Is she still with you?
You fell asleep back here. Oh, wait.
She's asleep. Oh, we haven't kept her awake. Okay.